Speaker, I am saying this, it's coming at the right time, on the holy month of Ramadan, on the last 10 days, and I'm going to speak my mind. I will not speak for any political party. I will not speak for any political formation. I will speak for the people of Garissa Township who brought me to this house and gave me powers to represent them under Article 1, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, there are many debates. There are many people who are telling us about inclusivity. Kenyans, and I have been a founder member of ODM, that this came as a result of the 27 post-election violence. I want to challenge anybody to tell me that by the passage of this bill, there will be no post-election violence. I want somebody to tell me and look at me in the eyes that there are no election reforms. ODM asked, and all of us asked, for election reforms. I want somebody to look at me in the eyes and tell me if this bill contains any election reforms. I want somebody to tell me if this bill has united Kenyans or divided Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, the presidency is divided. Before you even come to the members of parliament, before you go to the people of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, constitutions are not meant for leaders. Constitutions are meant for the people to check on the leadership. And Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, Mr. Speaker, in the 60s, in the first referendum in the 60s, only one region took part in that referendum. And it was in the northern part of Kenya called NFD. And the Speaker here, without no apologies to make, because I listened to over 50 members. Everybody is speaking for his region. Everybody is speaking for his community. I will speak for the Somali community, and I have no apologies to make. 99% of them voted for me. And Mr. Speaker, this document discriminates them. This document does not favor. A lot has already been said about this bill, and I'm also cognizant of the fact that on Tuesday, the Speaker gave a ruling. I do agree with the ruling on the constitutional and procedural matters. However, Mr. Speaker, I want to raise first and foremost two critical issues, two key issues with this bill, which I would like to go on record, because in my view, they are very weighty constitutional issues that this House, including all Kenyans outside this House, must address. And Mr. Speaker, I want to tell our colleagues here, 20, 30 years from now, what you do today, it will haunt you. What Tom Mboya did, what Jaramogi Oginga did, what Mzee Jomo Kenyatta did, what all the leaders before us did, either positive or negatively, it is haunting them today. Mr. Speaker, let me look at clause 44 of this bill. This clause provides that the President shall nominate and with approval of the Senate, appoint the judiciary ombudsman. This clause further provides that the judicial ombudsman shall, among other things, and these are the functions, receive and conduct inquiries into complaints against judges, registrars, magistrates, and other judicial officers and staff of the judiciary. This is a very dangerous trend, Mr. Speaker. As a country, over the years, we have had an independent judiciary under the 2010 Constitution, which is devoid of interference from any arm of government, Mr. Speaker, of which is free to express itself and work without being directed by anybody. One which is only guided by the Constitution. The office of the Ombudsman, Mr. Speaker, shall erode all these gains. Mr. Speaker, Article 172 of the Constitution protects and defends judges and magistrates, that in the event JSC finds a judge has contravened the Constitution, either on integrity, the Judicial Service Commission will look at it and will give the judge a fair hearing in a tribunal formed by the President. Mr. Speaker, this creation of the Ombudsman is creating fear, intimidation into judges. Mr. Speaker, minorities all over the world, including Kenya, including myself, our savior is the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, you know what happened after the Supreme Court nullified our elections. And I want to confess and apologize to the judiciary and the people of Kenya. I didn't say, but my party said that we shall revisit. With this ombudsman, the revisiting has started. Mr. Speaker, will this not mean that judges will work under the intimidation and under the whims of what the executive tells it to do? How shall a judge do their work, render their judgment that are free and fair? Can judges who are likely to be intimidated by the executive ensure, number one, that the justice shall be done to all Kenyans, irrespective of status? The answer is no. Mr. Speaker, a classical example of a member in this House is Honorable T.J. Kajwang. If under this system, T.J. Kajwang today could have been charged with treason of what he did in Uhuru Park. But because we are an independent judiciary, my colleague and a friend, T.J. Kajwang, sits in this House today. Honorable member of Emuro Dikiri has many pending cases. Number two, Mr. Speaker, that justice shall not be delayed. The answer is no. That justice shall be administered without undue regard to other matters, and the purpose and principles of the Constitution shall be protected and promoted. The answer is no. For these reasons, let me go on record on the answer that the office of the Judicial Ombudsman shall bring an end to the independency of the judiciary that we fought for many years. If this passes, Speaker, the issue of the second schedule, to which this bill is introducing additional 70 constituencies. Mr. Speaker, somebody should tell us why 19 counties should be left. Why should 19 counties be left? Kakamega has 12 constituencies. Kiambu has 12 MPs today. In this bill, Kiambu is getting over 13 constituencies. Kakamega is getting about 3. Compare what Legale did. Mr. Speaker, look at North Horr. North Horr is equivalent to the former Western, Central, and Nyanza constituency combined. Somebody is telling us North Horr does not deserve a constituency. Look at Ijara, where even the chairman of the BBI, the late Haji, comes from. Ijara is 25,000 square kilometers with over 300,000 population. Tell us what is wrong with the Wajir South. Mr. Speaker, enough is said. Speaker, if you allow me, I will finish with a Chinese proverb. And I want the women of this House to respect me. I had no choice. I read a Chinese proverb, Mr. Speaker, and allow me just to quote that Chinese proverb. It is very important for this House to hear, because the Chinese proverb is exactly going to tell us what we are doing. Mr. Speaker, I read a book and a Chinese proverb, and I really want the ladies in the House to respect me. You will only realize the importance of dialogue, the importance of negotiation, the importance of peaceful resolution of conflicts when a mosquito lands on your testicles.
Thank you.